We made it.
We did.
It's you and I.
It is. Yeah.
It's you and I. Thank you so much for coming down.
Of course.
I appreciate it. So, where did you live before moving to California?
I'm originally from New York. I grew up there, was there until I was 18, so I basically went there all the way through high school.
Right.
My parents wanted to move to San Diego. They were working high-stress jobs in New York City, commuting from the suburbs of Long Island on the Long Island Railroad. It was exhausting for them. My dad was in telecommunications. He worked for AT&T and another company called Lucent Technologies.
Right.
My mom was a fashion designer.
Oh, I love it.
At some point, they wanted to leave. Really tired of the New York weather.
Yeah.
Really tired of cold winters. Getting up, take me to school, but before we can even get in the car, get all the snow
That's right.
off the windshield. So where are we going to move? And they searched for where is the best weather on the planet. And they came up with two places.
Okay.
San Diego
Right.
and the Canary Islands.
And the Canary Islands.
And they figured between those two, they felt that San Diego was the better fit. It's a little closer to the rest of civilization.
Yes.
It's still the same country.
Right, that's funny.
So
Will they go to the Canary Islands? Have they been to the Canary
I don't
Islands
think
at
so.
all?
I don't think so. They actually wanted to move to California and San Diego, but they waited. I was just doing well academically in high school, track and cross country runner, doing it every season. Friends from that, really good coach, some really good teachers.
Yeah. So we discussed briefly some topics that maybe some people wanted to talk about, and you specifically named, do you remember?
I didn't grow up with acting like some people do. I wasn't a theater kid in high school, major in theater in college. I had a different career.
Right.
I was an elementary school teacher. I went to school for that. I went to graduate school for that to get certified as a teacher.
Right.
I went through this whole path of working in paraprofessional positions, working in after-school programs, getting my credential, being a substitute teacher, and eventually a full-time teacher. But it was a very tumultuous experience, very chaotic, which both, led to some of the frustrations that led to me kind of taking a step back away from teaching. But there are also a lot of things about my personality that the cliche of that experience made me who I am today.
Exactly.
Who am I exactly?
Yes.
Aside from just my name, I'm Andrew Patella. From being a school teacher and to develop a very assertive presence and to be willing to be in charge of people. People don't always understand that when we're talking about, their children. It's but also their children.
That's right. Yes, no kidding. How old are they? What grade?
So my credential is literally called the multiple subject credential, which is specifically for elementary school. So for K to 6, most elementary schools in San Diego are actually K to 5.
Right.
So that's where most of my experience is. And then in that range, I prefer younger generally. I like first grade, second grade.
Right. Adorable.
Gave me a very assertive, confident presence, and at the same time, I need to balance that with more compassionate sides when I need to be gentle. Worked for 15 years in that field. I was certified as a teacher for 10. I taught full-time for 6. I say I taught full-time, but I never actually taught at one school for a whole school year. I kept on hopping back and forth, taking over other teachers' classes after they either left for medical reasons or they left because they couldn't or didn't want to do their job. Starting a teaching job in the middle of October when this year has already started, instead of starting right at the beginning of the year where you have time to prep your classroom, is a much harder job. It was very chaotic and incredibly stressful. And I did this for 6 years. By the end of those 6 years, I once again found myself without a full-time position. I kept on jumping back and forth between, now I have a contract to be full-time, this time I don't have a contract to be full-time, so I'm a long-term substitute instead, which means doing the job of a teacher on the pay of a sub. I didn't have a full-time contract or a long-term position. I was kind of just left wondering, am I even going to continue with this? Do I want to? Because 6 years of my life had passed, age 29 to 35. There is a lot of maturing that happens during that time when you have an incredibly challenging career experience. It really did not go the way I wanted it to. Then how do I want my life to go? And that's how I started thinking about, let's try acting. It's creatively satisfying. It's creatively fulfilling.
Yeah.
And of course, it's an incredibly difficult pursuit. It does require a relatively thick skin. You will send out dozens, hundreds of auditions or submissions, and maybe we'll book 5% of those. Have to be willing to do the work of doing these submissions that you never hear back from, because that's the process and that's what it takes.
That's right.
And some of my willingness willingness to do that comes from, at this point I'm done with teaching. I don't want to go back to it. I've committed myself to this acting path, and if that's what it takes, I've got a lot of goals. I want to go as far as I can. My first acting class that was really like an acting class, I took at 32. When I was 35, consistently taking classes with the intention of growing as an actor, developing the skills, and aiming for being a professional.
Right.
But the thing is, even at that time, at 35, it was voice acting. Because I really took to heart this idea when I started taking voice acting classes that it's not about the voice, you need to learn how to act. So for 3.5 years, instead of focusing on what are these crazy voices I can do, how do I really learn the fundamentals of acting? If you can do only one voice, but you can act, then you can book one job. If you can do 10 voices, but you can't act, then you book 0 jobs. At some point, you do come back to needing to know how to change your voice. So when you do get to the point of actually booking voice acting jobs, character work in video games, animation, dubbing, I auditioned for one character, and the guy asked me to do 4 characters. I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to do this and stuff? And that same guy contacted me about 2 years later. Got another podcast I'm doing. I'd like you to do some voices on this. And of course I said yes, because he's going to pay me.
Of course.
But this time he said 6 voices.
Oh boy.
Oh my God. Like I feel like I can barely do one.
Right. You do have a great voice, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Although one of the things you learn when you first start taking voice acting classes, what we learn is having a great voice doesn't matter that much.
No
you need
kidding.
to be able to act.
No kidding. Isn't that something, huh?
Yeah. There's this value that's placed on people who have great voices. But when it comes to voice acting, there's room for all kinds of voices.
Tell me about them.
Children's cartoons. They say, oh, my voice is annoying. It's like in a children's cartoon. They need that.
Right.
They need that. So there's room for all voices.
What's your favorite? Do you have like a sort of a favorite voice you like to lend?
Villains.
Yes, I love you. I think you're a great villain.
And there's just something I do with my voice there. Does your father love you? Was he there for you? Did he play catch with you when you were a boy? I think like out of all the voices that I do, that's one of the few that I do like pretty naturally where I don't have to think that hard about it, focus that hard about it. It's
Right.
just something that actually just kind of comes to me for whatever reasons.
Right, so it's natural.
Even though it's actually, not really my regular voice.
Right. It feels natural. You're comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't recognize that for a while.
Isn't that something, huh? You posted something the other day, and I heard your voice, and I thought, oh my God, he's reminding me of Anthony Hopkins.
I did see that.
Totally.
My inspirations were actually Hugo Weaving as Agent Smith in The Matrix.
Right.
That was a huge thing for me growing up. I think like 12 years old when that came out. Fantastic movie. And Hugo Weaving's performance in particular really stuck with me, so I think that was a big part of it. Tom Hiddleston as Loki
Right.
in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
And then, like, I was very typecast for what he does, Giancarlo Esposito,
Uh-huh.
where basically his career right now, across many different films and TV shows, the villain that he did in Breaking Bad.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
So kind of channeling all those three, and that was kind of my take on
Yeah.
character in that short film. And at AWS 2 days ago, I had a script. It was a Star Wars script, and I got one of the villains in Star Wars, Governor Tarkin.
Yes.
It was like one of Darth Vader's underlings.
Right.
Princess Leia. It was so hard for me to sign the order to terminate your life.
I love it. Yeah, that they love it, that everyone love it.
I
Yeah.
think so. It's hard to judge the reaction. It's a quieter crowd.
Is it? Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
25 years ago, voice actors were like almost universally people who started with theater and on camera first, and then started voice acting. It was like an emerging industry.
Exactly.
These days, video games being like so much more mainstream, there are a lot of people who are getting into voice acting as their entry into any form of acting at all. That pitfall they fall into is they don't have the foundation, they're just making it sound nice.
Yeah.
Instead of who am I talking to, what is my relationship with them, where am I, what is the conflict, what do I want from this person, all of those things that we learn in an on-camera acting class.
Yeah, that's your foundation. You can't skip it.
At least 2 voice acting teachers recommended on-camera acting classes if I were interested in voice acting in video games. Modern video games are more realistic looking. They have very grounded acting performances. It's very similar you would have in film.
Yeah, that is true. They are so realistic. Video games also probably have given so many actors work because of the voiceover work that you would need in these video games. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell me, with all the excitement that there is with video games, how you found this, who found you, what did you have to do, what was different about it, and everything just with the exclamation point at the end.
Yeah, I've been playing video games since I was 5.
Yes.
My very first video game, Sonic the Hedgehog. That was my very first video game.
My grandsons, they love them.
Yeah. When I first started playing video games, they didn't really have voice acting. But eventually that technology did evolve. We were talking about The Matrix earlier. A game that came out around that same time called StarCraft, it was when I was 12. So that was a very big year for me. Even though I didn't pursue acting at that time, kind of planted the seeds.
Right.
That just had a lot of voice acting. One voice actor, his name was Robert Clotworthy. His performance just at that time when I was 12 just made such an impression. When the sequel to that game came out more than a decade later, I somehow ended up doing an interview with him over Skype.
Oh, that is so cool.
And then another decade later, when I'm thinking about, I want to take voice acting classes, I wonder if Robert Clotworthy does voice acting classes. I found it, and I took a 3-week voice acting class with him.
Yeah, that's
And he didn't remember, like a decade before when he did the interview.
He didn't, huh?
He didn't. But I had the receipts. I
That's
still had the interview.
Yeah. Oh, he must have loved that.
I just really lived in a lot of these video game worlds, and especially these ones that had great voice acting, at around a time when I started to be a little dissatisfied with teaching and seeing what else can I even do.
For anyone who's watching who might be interested getting into the world of voice acting, where would you guide them?
Voice acting education is very accessible online. You can very easily take classes with working professionals in the industry through Zoom. It's actually like pretty much the standard.
Right.
The first online voice acting school that I started with was called Closing Credits. Extremely beginner friendly. My first voice acting teacher was someone named Brendan Hunter. Incredibly loved by the Closing Credits community. You need a teacher that students are going to enjoy being with so that they want to come to the class and they just enjoy being there.
That's right.
It's almost not even about trying to learn. It's more about just like having fun with this person, feeling good with this person.
I'm sure your students must feel that about you as well.
Some I'm very strict with. Very much have that side.
Right?
Oh yeah. I took several classes with Closing Credits about a year and a half.
Right.
There was a little bit of overlap, but after about a year, I found a new place called VoiceOver Camp. So it's another online voice acting school. This was the one that I found because I wanted to know if that actor, Robert Clotworthy, did any classes. And the funny thing is, he wasn't even like the main instructor there. And before I could even take that class, they wanted me to take other classes.
Yeah, whatever I have to do to get to this guy.
And I've taken far more classes with other people than with Robert Clotworthy.
Right.
And they're wonderful people.
Right.
Stephanie Kurbis. Pretty young. She's like in her early 30s. She's hilarious. She kind of has like this chaotic energy.
Right.
And it's like when you go into a voice acting class with her, it's like, you know, it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah.
There are going to be a couple tangents. Some of those tangents where it's like grasping at your ribs just because you're laughing so hard.
The best.
And at the same time, you're also learning a lot about voice acting.
Yeah.
VoiceOver Camp compared to Closing Credits, it was a little bit more intermediate skewed, whereas Closing Credits was very extremely beginner friendly. Another voiceover school that I did start taking some classes with just over the past couple months.
Okay. What school is that?
Real Voice LA. Stephanie Kurbis recommended one of the teachers. His name is Craig Lee Thomas. And as it turns out, it almost feels like he's a male version of Stephanie Kurbis.
Yes.
They're also a professional demo production studio for voiceover.
Okay.
Most likely going to end up getting professionally made demos with them over the course of the next few months.
Of course, of course. Is it something you do online?
They have remote classes.
They have remote classes.
Since the pandemic, remote.
Yeah.
As long as you make your own home studio, which I have.
Yeah. Oh, I bet you have all the great mics.
There are dozens of mics on the market. My microphone is called the Rode NT1. You might have heard of the brand Rode.
I might have, but I'm going to write it down anyway.
Budget-friendly mic that is also, you can be taken seriously with as an actor. It cost me about like $200.
Right.
And it's good enough that I may never actually need to invest in another mic. One of the most well-known voiceover mics is even a little over $3,000. It's called the Neumann U87. Sounds like alien technology.
Yes, it does. I guess it just, picks up every...
Oh, it picks up everything. Which also means that if you don't have it in a good room that's treated for sound, it's not going to be good because you're going to hear like the air. You're going to hear the sirens.
Yeah.
So you really need, like, one of the important things for voiceover is not just the mic, but the room.
Silence.
Your studio.
Yes. Yeah. Is part of your room set up that way?
Ooh, 3 years ago, a family friend helped me build a recording booth in my tiny apartment. Built a box inside of a box. My apartment is the first box.
Right.
Like, it's already pretty small. Plywood,
Uh-huh.
Rockwool insulation.
Wow.
drywall.
Wow.
We're drilling things. He was retired but had experience in construction and carpentry.
Right.
So he had an expertise that I needed.
Right.
I bought a lot of foam off of the internet that I just put on like every inch.
And air.
It's funny you mentioned that. He kept on really insisting, you need ventilation.
Right.
Kind of like a rectangular hole that's cut out from the top.
Okay, good.
With like some vents in it. I really kind of like went nuclear, invested more than most people would be willing.
Right.
Just because I was a perfectionist. These days I'm thankful for it.
That's right, yeah, of course. Things that we do for the art of what we love. So we talked a lot about voiceover and voice work. I don't really know you that way. I met you at AWS.
Summer before I joined AWS, I watched this incredible TV show on network television called The Rookie. It's one of my favorite TV shows. This was also at a time in my life when I was also stressing about many things. Finances, the path of my life, because I was 37 and feeling like, man, 37, getting close to 40, like out of teaching, so I'm not making that much money. After watching The Rookie, there was a part that's like, what am I doing? I need to get into that on-camera acting class. And when I got to AWS, I signed up for an appointment. Meet someone, see the studio in person, first meeting Rob.
Yes.
One of the teachers at AWS, very eccentric, big personality.
Yes.
I got there at 2:30 for my appointment that was officially scheduled to go 2:45. But with Rob talking, I left there at about 3:20. He talked my ear off. Just about so many things.
Yeah, he's a talker.
And I ended up not signing up right at the moment because I was actually really struggling with finances at the moment.
Yeah.
I was planning to start in September, but eventually I couldn't wait anymore and I just started in August. But there was a slight amount of overconfidence that I came into at AWS because I've been voice acting for 2.5 years. In the first 2 months, it felt like none of that mattered. It really felt like starting back at square one. The longer it went on, obviously the more confident I felt. The more I think that my voice acting experience and my on-camera experience really started to integrate with each other. And the more I think that voice acting experience started to show in class and also really help me with on-camera acting.
Yeah, sure, yes.
Luckily, I had that amazing teacher, Mark Coulter, who I just loved seeing every single time.
Mark will do that for you, actually. Yeah. Come on! Would you agree that Mark also helps with that confidence?
For sure. I mean, we talked about what makes a great teacher at the beginner levels. You know, Mark, in some ways, he's almost like a kindergarten teacher.
Yeah.
I make 5-year-old children laugh a lot. Mark is funnier than me.
Well, you both have different types of humor.
It's true.
So, yeah.
It's true.
What was different when you went to AWS opposed to voiceover?
There are a lot of challenges going from voice acting to on-camera acting. So
Like?
one of the big ones is in voice acting, you have the luxury of just being able to read from your script. Now you're acting on camera. Now you need to memorize the script.
You need to find that time.
It takes time to memorize the script. Like ideally, you're practicing it multiple times over a course of several days, if you can. Even when you technically memorize, you learn that there are even different levels to that. Because I'd say the phrase being off book is a deeper level of memorization than just memorizing the words. You just have the words so easily. You don't have to spend your energy on memorizing.
Right.
Because if you're spending memory on memorizing, that's going to take you out of the moment, and then it interferes with your acting. And when you're finally off book, then you can really just be free to really express yourself as an actor.
Yeah.
There's movement in voice acting. It's not only encouraged to do movement in voice acting, it's actually considered a good practice. In video games, you often have to do very physical acting. If you're a soldier, you have to, you're running and you get hit. So all these little movements that I'm doing right now, I would actually do when I'm in the booth.
Exactly.
Although there's still some challenge where I need to still keep my mouth in front of the mic.
Right.
And then when acting on camera, movement comes up again, but in a very different way.
Right.
Whatever movement you're doing, actually looks authentic on camera.
That's right.
Now, when you're voice acting, in a very literal sense, you are talking to no one. Because you're in a box by yourself. You're not actually talking to anyone.
Right.
And that, someone who's learning acting for the first time, that's a very hard way to learn how to act when you are literally talking to no one.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's impossible, because there are definitely people who are voice actors only and who learned with voice acting. But it's hard.
Yeah.
That was a big thing that brought me to on-camera acting. That's now I have a real person to talk to. Who they are in the scene is different from who they are in real life. Like, oh yeah, I'm talking to Lisa instead of I'm talking to
Emma.
Your characters.
Right.
I have an opinion here that could be controversial. There are probably people who would be unhappy about. In my opinion, it is easier to learn the fundamentals of acting with on-camera acting than it is with voice acting.
Right.
And there are people who take issue with that and say, no, on-camera acting is harder. And there are definitely things about on-camera acting that is harder. And I also have this opinion that I think the ceiling of on-camera acting is probably harder.
Right.
I think it's harder for a voice actor to start acting on camera than it is for an on-camera actor to start acting as a voice actor.
I'm thinking when you were talking, just doing like the voiceover work and reading the paper, you're reading out loud, that is so instrumental when we're doing cold reading. I would imagine somebody advised me, read out loud. It'll help you with cold reading. If that is true, when you were doing your cold reading, you probably didn't have much of an issue because you're so used to reading a script anyway out loud.
I think that, but actually what was challenging with cold reading and on-camera acting were the mechanics of it. So what we were told from Mark is, you have the script, you're not looking at the script while your partner is talking. You're just supposed to keep your eye contact on your scene partner, not looking at your script. And then when you look down, you're supposed to be just reading it, but instead you get the line, you look back up at your partner. And then when I got to Holly, she kind of further refined the mechanics of it, which was make sure you're holding your script here so that it's close enough to eye level so that you're not doing things like looking down like this, where like some people would have their script on their table. So there are like these little mechanics to it that, you know, were new to me, were kind of tough to learn.
That's how I was taught too.
Yeah.
And then you'll learn too if you go to other schools or other teachers, they have a whole other philosophy on that.
That's what I've been hearing.
It's wild, yeah. So are you wanting now to go into film? Of course, never abandoning your voiceover, so I don't want to imply that. I'm assuming that's always going to be there for you.
So my intention really is, it's not like I want to drop one for the other. I kind of want it to be like a dual career kind of thing.
Yeah, of course.
As an actor, either way, actors kind of have to be multidisciplinary.
Yeah.
So like with the voice acting, it's like, you know, if you want to be a professional voice actor, you're probably not going to be able to do that purely on just video games alone. There may be like some people do, like very prolific people in the industry, but for most voice actors, it's like if you're going to make a living off voice acting, you can act in video games, commercials, e-learning, do all these other genres that are not something that like many people are like, oh my god, you were in that voiceover that I heard when I walked into the car dealership. Even though that could be a voice acting job.
That really could be. Sports commentators, right? They have these great freaking voices.
Usually those people are on camera these days.
Yeah, that's true.
Those people usually have a
oh my god, but their voices.
But to make a living as a voice actor, they need to put together income from many different genres in order to do the profession. Then even as, you know, an on-camera actor, you might act in a short film, TV show, commercial, industrial. So all these different things. You might also just have something on backstage, a lifestyle shoot. Maybe that gets slightly into the realm of modeling, but there's also some overlap here where people who are acting on camera might also be doing that. I've applied to things like that on backstage. So you kind of have to be multidisciplinary either way. And
you have to.
I really do love both. And I enjoy both and I want to do both. And there's even some extent where the two actually kind of intersect. Have you heard of motion capture technology?
Yes.
Yeah. So, you know, there are movies, of course, like Avatar that are made with motion capture technology.
Yes.
There are also a lot of video games that are made with motion capture technology.
Yeah.
They, of course, you know, put on those fancy suits. It's more like doing the job of an on-camera actor than a voice actor, even though it's a video game.
Right. And that's what you've just completed, right?
Well, the one that I did was not done as a motion capture game. In my booth in my apartment, starting recording sessions at 6 p.m. because the client was Chinese.
Wow.
6 p.m. in California is 10 a.m. in China. Depends on daylight saving. And I spent a total of 10 hours of recording sessions. Not all at once. They're usually 4 hours max.
Right. Okay. That's not so bad.
On a Zoom call, 3 people from China.
Amazing.
I'm the only native English speaker.
Amazing.
The director speaks Mandarin. And I can tell you as much of the English that the director knew. If they'd say like, all right, give us 2 takes of this line. So I'd give my 2 takes. If I did good enough and I gave them what they needed, the director would say either number 1, next, or number 2, next. If I didn't give him what he needed, I got to hear him talk in Mandarin for about 10 to 15 seconds.
Oh, wow.
What the hell is he saying?
Right.
Like, oh my god, are they trash talking me? Then the translator would translate for me. And although she spoke English, it was a very accented, approximated English, and it was still hard to understand.
Right, of course.
If I did my takes and I was really off the mark, the director showed me a little bit more of his English. Finding voice acting work, in some ways it's a lot like finding on-camera work. Looking any different places on the internet usually to try to find whatever auditions you can.
Right.
And on-camera acting, you know, there's the major casting platforms. There's Actors Access, Backstage, casting networks. There are some equivalents for voice acting, basically the ones where you have to pay a subscription to have access. There's Voice123, Voices.com, Those are the two big players, and there are a couple others.
Yeah.
VO Planet, VO short for voiceover.
Right.
And then there are other places where you don't have to pay, although usually that's going to be more like indie level.
Yeah.
You might have someone who's making an independent video game or an independent animation. Usually it's going to be lower pay. Open casting call where hundreds, sometimes even thousands of people are going to audition. Out of thousands, only a couple hundred are really viable in terms of the quality of the audio and the quality of their acting.
Right.
There's a hustle to it either way.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I've found a couple things. Video game, Mekarashi.
That's the one that you're on, right?
Now out on PC, Android, and iOS.
I love it.
It just came out. I'm the main character, which is actually insane.
That is wild,
It
man.
is, because there are something like 30-something actors in the game.
Yeah.
Almost everyone in the game is more experienced than me. I've been voice acting for 3.5 years. Sean Chiplock.
Uh-huh.
Within voice acting circles, he's very well known.
Yeah.
He's very prolific.
Right.
He's been acting in video games since 2012, and he has had multiple occasions where he has been the main character in a video game. You might confuse that with he also does dubbing for Japanese animation, but between all that, it's probably been like main character like a dozen times.
Right.
This is a guy who's been in dozens of projects. For me, this was my second video game. But for whatever reason, he got cast as a secondary character, and I got cast as the main character, despite being probably the least experienced person on the entire cast, or at least one of. When people are casting, I don't think they just look like, oh, what's this person's resume? Oh, they've been acting the longest? Let's give them the most responsibility. There are other things to
Right,
it.
of course.
And especially
what they're looking for.
Yeah,
You had
there's-
something that they were looking for.
how well does this person, for on camera, how well does their look?
Right.
Then for voice acting, how well does their voice match the creator's vision for the character? And I guess in this case, I was...
The winner.
His name is Kaiden.
Kaiden.
Which was also a source of confusion when a lot of people were pronouncing it as Caden.
Caden Newman, get out here.
Finally. Look, buddy, you don't call the shots anymore. Why should I listen to anything you say?
Get ready for a beatdown, you little brat.
Bring it on, then! Let's see what you got!
Right.
I did it at first. Recorded a few lines saying it as Caden. Re-record lines saying it as Kaiden.
Right.
Let me guess. You want to exchange digits, huh, Merc?
Kaiden Newman. And I'd say yes to that offer.
But some of the other actors didn't have their lines re-recorded, so in the game, sometimes you hear Caden, sometimes you hear Kaiden.
Kaiden!
I'm alright. Let's focus on wiping out these clowns first.
He looks like a late 20s or early 30s or mid-30s character, so about my age range.
Yeah.
Kinda feels like I'm just moseying through life, you know?
Someone who has protagonist energy.
Yes.
Kind of brave, self-righteous,
Yep.
often a little eager to get into a fight. So that
Right.
I think I had that kind of energy.
Yeah. A little eager to get in a fight. I don't know why I found that funny, but yeah.
I mean, I'd say, like, in real life, I'm not eager to get in fights,
Right.
but I am, often eager to jump into things.
Sure.
Especially as I've gotten older, I try to push forward with the things that I want and try as much as possible not to let fear hold me back. And I think that's
Yeah.
kind of in line with a character who would
Yeah.
be eager to get into a fight, someone who really moves forward.
Yeah.
Real physical fights in real life are a waste of time.
Yes, they
And-
are.
And energy, and
Yes.
and eventually medical bills.
That's right.
When I recorded for Mekarashi, I recorded that back in December. And there was a part of me that couldn't believe, oh my God, they're really hiring me to do this? And so I was stressed the entire month of December because it was 3 sessions in December and then later one in February that were spread out over the month.
Right.
So I was stressing that entire month. And I'm worried that I'm going to get fired before the job finishes because that's something that can happen.
Sure.
And I'm glad it didn't. The insecurity of they're making me the main character. Do I have what it takes to be the main character? They could have cast me as a secondary character, as a minor character with 2 or 3 lines. And I would have taken that.
Of
I
course.
would have loved it.
Right. Right.
But they gave me the main character. So
Right.
there's a lot of insecurity can I handle that responsibility? And then even after I finished recording, are they going to recast me? Maybe they had me do all this recording and then I realized, this sucks, we need to redo it and get someone else. Because that can happen.
Right. Anything can
That
happen.
literally is the thing that happens.
Right.
So I was worried about all those things, and I dealt with all those feelings. After December, it subsided a little bit, but there was also still a part of me that had to wait until the game finally came out. There was actually a demo of the game, basically like a preview version of the game that came out in June. Basically from January all the way to June, there was still a part of me in my head thinking, am I going to get recast? Because until the game comes out and I hear my voice in it, it's still a possibility.
That's
And
right.
then the demo came out, and I heard my voice in the game for the first time, and I'm like,
Amazing.
this is it. I'm the main character in the video.
Yes.
And as much as it's also something to be very proud of, then there's also all right, now I'm playing the game, and now my performance is staring right back in my face.
Look at that.
The good,
Yeah.
the bad,
Right.
and the ugly.
Right.
And there are parts of that game that I wish I could redo.
Right,
There's
of course.
so many things I wish I could redo.
Right, but we already know that we cannot do that to ourselves. I'm going to ask you, you said it here, don't say it again. Don't take away from anything of what you did. I'm sure that it is a stellar job that you did, and no one outside of this filming needs to hear that there's some parts you could have done better. Let it go.
Part of how I find peace with it is I
Right.
tell myself, as much as, we try to look at these things as like, the big accomplishments, well then after it happens, then it's just another step.
Right.
It's actually just another step on the journey.
That's right.
So it doesn't have to be perfect because it's just a
Oh.
step towards.
Brilliant. That's
more
absolutely
progress.
right. That's not a done deal.
My written line that now I can also say out loud, and I said it on some of my socials, is 3.5 years ago, when I first started voice acting, being the main character in a video game was just a dream.
Yeah.
It was a bucket list item.
Yeah.
And today, it's a reality.
It's a reality.
I went through all those tough experiences of,
Yeah.
questioning myself, being stressed during that month that I was recording the game. Do I feel like it was worth it now? Absolutely.
Yeah.
It feels incredible.
Yeah. I don't know much about games. I do know a lot about passion. When you have a passion for something, what fills my heart with so much happiness for you, if I have an understanding, is the fact that you've gamed all of your life. And I can't imagine all those years, all the thrills, all the adrenaline, all of what goes into gaming, and the fact now as an adult you are actually in a video game. I mean, that's tops.
Aside from, say, the thrills and the adrenaline, the video games that had incredible actors,
Right.
where blown away, was engrossed by the actor's performance. Those are ones that stuck with me. One video game series, there's so many incredible actors that pushed me towards acting because I still think about those performances. A popular video game series, a little over a decade old now, called Mass Effect. And it was just considered kind of like one of the premier story-driven games of its time. Just enjoying these video games, not just because it's fun to play, and not just because of like the thrills of like the action and the adrenaline, because there are these actors who are just doing like absolutely incredible
Incredible
things.
work. Yeah. Very nicely put. Yay! I'm happy for you. Very happy for you. What a story to hear, because I had no idea we were even going to talk about gaming and all of this stuff, and how voiceover can actually get you into gaming. I mean, that's just pretty enlightening for someone, I guess, like me, and for other people who kind of want to do something like this and maybe think it's impossible, as we always think something is impossible when we're a little fearful of something. Yeah, nothing's impossible, obviously. 3.5 years, that's amazing.
Now it really does feel like my voice acting experience is really kind of like integrated with my own camera experience.
Without a doubt. I tell you, I had no idea. I didn't meet you that way until I saw this clip. I don't know how many times I watched it, to be honest with you.
I
Because
was
your
pretty
voice
happy
is
with how that turned
captivating.
out.
Yeah, that was really nice.
And the creator of that film doesn't want it like shared too much.
Right.
Like he doesn't want the whole thing shared because he plans to submit it to festivals.
Of course.
But overall, I'm actually really happy with like how that entire film came out. I can't wait to share the whole thing when it becomes publicly available, because the whole thing turned out really well. Like,
Yeah.
Just a great project, and I think I contributed to it.
What's the name of that project?
It's Just Business.
It's Just Business.
The other actor who's in the scene that you saw, his
Mhm.
name is TJ Hyland.
Mhm.
He's from Ireland. He was like
Mhm.
visiting the United States. So he was basically the main character, even though
Yeah.
in that scene I was doing more of the talking.
Yeah.
And he's incredible because he has to do so much acting while saying so few words.
Mhm.
The creator of the film is like 19 or 20 years old. He's a San Diego State student.
Yeah.
There's also just like a lot of great editing stuff that's
Yeah.
in that film that you won't be able to see it until like the whole thing comes out, but it turned out to be a great project.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be great. And then you're going to be coming out also in Infernal,
Yeah.
right? Is there anything else that might be coming out?
On camera stuff, phase of, no, I need to book more things.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, right now there's
Yeah.
like 3 major things coming out, so I think that's
I'm
pretty
searching
cool.
more on like apply to like the paid listings because I want money.
Right.
At some point, I probably have to go back to looking for short films, student films, just to try to
Sure.
get more real footage. When I see casting networks and it says commercial,
Right.
$15,000,
Right,
it's like I want to apply to that. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm applying to the things that say $500.
Yeah, exactly.
My minimum for an LA job is like 200.
Yeah.
Like under 200, I'm like, it starts to not be worth it.
Right.
San Diego, I would do for even under 200.
Yeah.
In June, I booked a corporate voiceover job for Hewlett Packard Enterprise. I made $3,100 for a total of 4 hours of session time.
That's awesome.
I had 2 on-camera jobs that month too,
Yeah.
bringing another $350.
Nice. Good one.
Almost as much money as I make from my day job.
Yeah.
So that was
yeah.
basically the first month ever that I was a working actor.
Yeah. Wow.
Really want to try to bring in money from acting.
That's right. And you
And
will.
Especially at this stage. That means applying to commercials, corporate narration, voiceover, things like that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't dislike doing those things. I
Right.
like getting paid.
Right.
I want a Los Angeles agent for both voiceover and for voice.
Oh, you will get
And those things are
Los Angeles agent.
those things are challenging.
Yeah.
Not only do I want that, but of course there's a lot of work that needs to happen to get there.
I would love to have some links of some of the stuff that you've done.
So that video game Mekarashi,
Yep.
I spent the last day and a half
Uh-huh.
playing the game to capture footage and then putting it in a video editor to make like a short little reel.
Yes.
It turned out great. I just posted that on my socials, X, Instagram. And I
Right.
posted to my YouTube. I just need to do a couple more things.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you so much for coming over.
This
I
was
really
great.
appreciate it.
See, the truth is, like, I really can talk too much.
Yeah, I
And
love it.
so part of the reason you haven't heard all this is that in most situations, talking at this kind of length isn't really something we do.
Exactly, yes. This is true. And I don't think we've ever had an opportunity, perhaps, where we could listen
Yeah.
to each other longer than 5 minutes without maybe someone else,
Yeah.
you know, not interrupting, but getting in on the talk. So thank you. And I appreciate it. And I hope you had a good time.
And you too.